and Senators Corker and Jeff Flake. To dive more into this, joining me now, former Clinton campaign advisor Jess McIntosh and former advisor to Senator Rand Paul, Brian Darling. It's great to have you both with me. Jess, let me start with you. Is this a kind of the erosion of headlines or erosion to the Trump administration, President Trump, because of performance?
Oh, I think it's performance, absolutely. And I think this is a good point to remind everybody that only 26% of America even voted for Donald Trump in the first place. And since he has gotten into office, he has made very clear that the only people he's interested in catering to are that incredibly xenophobic white nationalist base that he has. So what we've seen over the last few weeks is him go after a Gold Star pregnant widow, go after the NFL, and go after the citizens of the U.S. citizens living in Puerto Rico who are living through an unprecedented disaster. That can only appeal to a very small, hateful segment of the population. The vast majority of Americans understand that that is profoundly un-American and reject it 100%.
Brian, what do you make of that? Do you agree with that sentiment? Also, the president has gone after Corker. He's had some issues with your former boss, Rand Paul, even though they went out on the links together. What do you make?
Well, I'd say that one of the big problems with the poll numbers is the fact that Congress has fallen down flat in their face in the job on passing tax reform, repealing Obamacare, and doing an infrastructure bill. I think the fact that Congress hasn't passed any of the Trump priorities is problematic. But the one thing that Donald Trump has going for him is Democrats. The fact that you look at the last election, Democrats were supposed to sweep into victory, and they fell down flat in their face. I mean, never underestimate the capacity of Democrats to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And if you look at these poll numbers, it looks like they're looking really good going into next fall.
Meanwhile, if we look at the approval numbers about the economy, let's take a peek at that. Economy numbers slightly up to 42%. I'm sure all of us have been curious at looking at 401k numbers. I know I'm guilty of it. Just to see where it's going. For some reason, while this goes up, my numbers keep going down. But that's, I think, more on my advisor's problem. But Brian, what do you think? The president wants to rely on the fact that the economy is strong. Wall Street remains bullish. Is that really enough?
It may be. I think the American people are going to come down on Election Day and make a decision next fall on who they're going to elect to Congress, the House and the Senate, on how the economy is doing. It's more important than these investigations going on in Congress. It's more important than so many of the other issues. I think it obliterates the other issues. If taxes get cut, turns around the economy, if the economy continues to be doing well, I think that'll be very helpful for Trump and his allies in Congress.
If taxes get cut, Jess, what do you think that the odds of that are? The president was tweeting about that, saying, the Russia thing is going on, but that's only because of the fact that the Republicans are on the brink of tax reform.
Well, I think that if there is one principle that the Republican Party has adhered to, even in the age of Donald Trump, it is that they want more tax cuts for billionaires. That is what they intend to do, and they're going to do it. If they manage to pass this reform package, which I don't think they will, they're going to do it on the backs of working class Americans, which totally undermines the populist message that Donald Trump attempted to pull one over and get elected on in November. So they're sort of hamstrung either way they go here, because they're not going to be passing a tax reform package that benefits the middle class.
And so when we think, Brian, about where the president stands with the people in power in D.C. right now, at least before the midterms, the fact that he's taken on a Jeff Flake and a Senator Corker, we have Corker's approval rating. Let's just take a look at this. It's declined in a new poll. This is from the Middle Tennessee State University. But do you think that since there is a distance to go, Brian, for President Trump to the midterms, and he needs these people, that he should be making some amends to get on course with what you were saying before about the fact that they aren't accomplishing a legislative agenda for this president?
Well, I think when you look at Jeff Flake's record, he entered the House as a firebrand conservative. He kind of got away from that, and he got wrapped up in the never Trump fervor. I think Bob Corker
But he's voted with the president 95% of the time, though.
Yeah, but he voiced a lot of opposition to the president. He's somebody who had a primary opponent, and you look at his poll numbers, he was going to lose his primary. So ultimately, he made a decision that he couldn't win his reelection. He was going to lose his primary.
I know, but let's just think between now and then, right? Not running. Okay, there's a lot of time, a lot of space between current situation, Brian, and the 2018 midterms. Is the president just going to say, okay, I'll be a lame duck in my first 2 years?
No, I mean, I think if you look at Congress, President Trump has a lot of support. He's got members that are pushing his tax cuts for all that will turn the economy around. He's got support from the leadership to do a lot of things. The problem is the leadership
Brian,
waited
there's not a
way
track
too
record
long.
of support. That's the issue. You can't say he has support when there is no policy track record from this administration having power. What do you point to that's legislatively accomplished?
Oh, no, I agree. There have not been accomplishments, and that is a fault. Falls squarely on the shoulders of Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. I mean, the leadership has not done their job. But looking at tax reform, the leadership knows they have to get this done. There is no possibility of failure on this. And so I think it will get done. I wish it would be more dramatic and bigger tax cuts for all Americans. But I think in the end, they're going to get this passed, and that is going to be something that they're going to have to run on in the fall if the economy continues to do well, and it'll be very helpful.
Wouldn't it be wishful thinking if we could just have drama around tax reform as opposed to drama around everything else?
We could talk about policy, but no, we need to talk about investigations because that actually matters very much to the heart of the democracy of our country. This is not a distraction issue, and I know that Trump loves to say that it is and then throws out something even stranger as a distraction issue. We are actually talking about the sanctity of our ability to have democratic, fair elections going forward. So this is in no way a distraction, and I understand that he wants to use it because he's so inept at passing any policy points on his own, but the truth is it stands alone, and tomorrow is going to be a really important day for the Trump administration.
I do agree on that. I agree that investigations are important, and I can't wait to see the House investigate the Hillary Clinton scandals on Uranium One, so we can agree on that.
How did I know you were going to say that, Brian?
Sad. It's so sad.
I could have guessed it. Jess McIntosh, great to see you in person. Brian Darling, nice to have you on. Thanks. We're going to be back in a moment, right after this.